Well, hi. So, like I said, just gonna jump into it.
Do it.
All right. First question: how did you come up with your company name?
So I was making films under Tortured Soul Productions, and I was doing that for probably about a year or two. And I had a girlfriend at the time that was like, I think you need a better name. So I was watching an Italian horror film called Beyond the Darkness, and it's
Hmm.
about an incestual brother and sister. And when a third party comes into the mix, they murder them and put them in an acid bath. And I thought, wow, acid bath pictures, that'll be really cool. And so I changed my name to Acid Bath Pictures, and I had hired a girl to do a cartoon logo for me about a girl that goes into a bathtub and
Yeah.
uh, acid, and she comes out and she's a melting skeleton. But when she sent it to me, she wrote Acid Bath Productions. And so my company, who I had only done a few short films at the time, went from Acid Bath Pictures to Acid Bath Productions, which you know now. Because the cartoon was so cool, I thought, yeah, okay, why not be Acid Bath Productions? And then here we are.
And how long has it been Acid Bath
Probably been
since
Acid Bath for
name?
about 18 years.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And what's
Uh,
funny is that there's a band called Acid Bath, and a great band. My company has nothing to do with them, but the guitar player Sammy from Acid Bath, who's now in Goat Whore, did do a cameo in one of my movies. So people say, "Oh, are you guys named after Acid Bath, the band?" I say, "No, but Sammy from Acid Bath is in one of our movies." And they're like,
do you
"What? No way, Sammy's awesome." Sammy's a great guy.
do
So
you ever like use their music in your movies or?
I haven't actually. I do work with like a lot of death metal bands, and Frank Mullen, the lead singer of Suffocation, who actually invented the death metal vocal that we all know, who doesn't really get enough credit for it. People are just like, "Oh yeah, Frank Mullen, yeah, he invented that scream that every death metal band does now." He's in a ton of my movies. Like my new movie Shout, that's out right now. It's the shockumentary of the century. And Guar's in that, and
Oh
uh,
wow.
Brian Bonsall and Edward Furlong from Terminator 2 does a cameo in that also. So that's out now. Go to Walmart, Best Buy, Barnes& and Noble, or jamesbalsamo.com and pick up Shout.
Add it to the list. Alrighty. What is your favorite project that you have done?
So, my movies are all kind of like my children, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
whatever one I'm making at the time is the one that I love the most. So currently I'm doing a new movie called Robot Dracula that has John Landis in it, Malcolm McDowell, and a ton of other people are in it. Russell Simmons is in it, and director Tom Holland, not Spider-Man, director of Child's Play. Um, and Fred Decker, the guy that did Monster Squad and RoboCop uh, 3. So there's a ton of cameos, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that movie right now. So I would say Robot Dracula at the time.
All right. How many projects do you usually work at a time?
So right now I'm doing probably the most projects at the same time I've ever done, which is 20. I'm working on
Oh wow.
20 feature films at the same time. Uh, I try to shoot them in 5 days, but I rotate those days. So I currently have over 50 feature films out. So with DVD and Blu-ray, that's 100 film products
Oh,
out. I cut 2 feature films this week, and today's what, Thursday? So,
yeah.
and then tomorrow I'm doing an autograph signing at Monster Palooza in California. So come on down; it's going to be a blast.
Speaking of, what other events and conventions do you have going on so far?
So after this weekend, the next show I'm doing is Mad Monster Party in Arizona, and that'll be July 7th, the weekend of July 7th. And Freddy Krueger will be there along with me, Robert England, and Rose McGowan and a whole bunch of other cool people.
Oh,
So
wow, that's huge.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. I've been doing Mad Monster Party for a few years, and that's a really fun show to do. So
All right. Who is your favorite person to work with?
you clearly, I mean, this is the best you I've done.
Oh, thanks. But like film wise, like I guess actor, director, whoever, whatever you want to consider, like in the process of in make in making a movie, who would you say your favorite person to work with would be?
I'm gonna have to say me. You know, I have the most fun working with me. You know, I live with me, so
Oh wow, what a
you
challenge.
know, we have good days and bad days, but it's always fun. You know, it's always an adventure.
Definitely. How did you get started in making movies?
So I started acting when I was 8, and I acted all the way up until right now. I'm acting right now. So I
Long
really
time.
wanted to be in horror movies, but I didn't know anybody that made any. So I was working at a comic book shop, and somebody said, "Hey, you know, Trauma in the city hires interns and stuff like that." So I was, you know, I was doing acting and I wasn't getting gigs, and so I went to work for Trauma, and I took out Lloyd Kaufman's trash, and I learned every trick in the book from Lloyd. And Lloyd, you know, I'm still friends with Lloyd. He just tweeted the last movie trailer I did, 14 Ghosts, last
Wow.
week. So, um, you know, that's kind of how I got my start. And then from working at Trauma, I left Trauma and I went to film school, and then I learned how to make my own movie, and here we are, over 50 feature films later. Thank you.
So, not please don't take this in a rude way. So, was filmmaking not your first goal? You wanted to just be an actor in general?
Yeah, I wanted to be an actor, and I learned how to make movies so that I could star in them. And so that's why I star in a lot of my stuff, because I just wanted to act. And now other people ask me to do cameos or roles in their movies, and I love acting. You know what I mean? So whenever somebody says, "Hey, do you want to be in a movie?" If I could do it, I always say, "Yeah, let's do it."
That's awesome. In your opinion, what would you say is your biggest success?
I would probably say I Spill Your Guts, which I'm trying to get the sequel off the ground now. Um, I was having drinks with Phil Tippett. If you don't know, Phil Tippett did all the stop animation effects in Star Wars and made a lot of the puppets. He made like
Wow.
Max Rebo and named Salacious Crumb, and uh, and he also did the stop animation for RoboCop. He did the Ed 209, and he's done a ton of stuff. He did. I could just keep going. I mean, the man is incredible. So I'm having drinks with Phil Tippett at a horror convention, and after he had just done a cameo in my movie Slice that I made with John Hitt, which is out now. Check that out. It's a golf slasher film. It's A Hole in You. And somebody, I'm having drinks. Phil is facing me, and somebody walks behind him, and they go, "Oh my God, that's James
Oh
Balsamo."
my,
He and he's telling his girlfriend, "You don't know, he's the man. He made I Spill Your Guts." So here I am with Phil Tippett, the guy that made Star Wars and RoboCop, and then somebody recognizes me for I Spill Your Guts, which is a movie I made over a decade ago. So I guess I Spill
that
Your
is
Guts.
that would have melted my heart.
Yeah, no, you know, it's really humbling. You know what I mean? Because I was feeling that way about Phil, and you know, it was really cool that he was having a drink with us, and and just you know giving us the time of day to hang out after working with us, which was really nice. And then somebody else comes by and like kind of passes the torch to me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So like that's why I'm always humble and gracious whenever somebody sees me or says they like my work. Like I just say, "Hey, that's cool. I'm just a regular guy." You know what I mean? I just did this because I loved it. You know what I mean? And working with people that I loved. You know what I mean? Like Phil Tippett was like a dream. He was somebody I've been trying to get for years. So
Well, to reverse that, what would you say is your biggest failure?
Commercially, I would say Catch of the Day. So that was a movie that almost bankrupted me. It was a buddy cop mutant fish people movie. It had Tony Todd, the Candyman, in it,
Oh
Jason
wow.
Mewes from Jay and Silent Bob, and the wrestler Jake the Snake Roberts. And I took a lot of risks on that movie. I did a lot of real stunts, and we crushed a car with a forklift, and we blew a car up, and we did like a lot of action sequences. We did a fight on like a skyscraper, on the roof of a skyscraper in the city, which I was terrified of because I don't like heights. But I didn't really know how to market the movie because it wasn't an action movie and it wasn't really a horror movie. It kind of fell into this like weird middle ground of a buddy cop mutant fish people movie, which is, you know what I mean? Like for me, I'm like, oh, that sounds amazing. I love buddy cop, and you know what I mean? I make movies that I want to see, but commercially it did terribly, and I lost a lot of money on it, my own money that I put into it. So but since then I made a sequel to that, Catch of the Day 2, and now, people, it kind of found a home. People really like that movie, and people come up and they say they enjoy it. So, you got to take risks in this business. You know
You're
what I
never gonna
mean?
swear.
Yeah, exactly. You got to try things. You got to try different things. That's why I used to really only make horror, but now I've made kids sci-fi movies, and uh, you know, I've filmed in Western towns, and I like trying different stuff and making all sorts of entertainment. So, people come up to me now as a producer and they say, "Hey, I have an idea for a movie, and I do this." I say, "Hey, if you want to split it, I have distribution in Walmart, Best Buy, Barnes and Noble. So you put up half the budget, I put up half the budget, and then we'll make a movie together because I like to have fun and I make them quick. I shoot them in like 5 days." So that's something else I offer at jamesbalsamo.com.
I think we already answered this, but what inspired you to do this specific uh, profession?
Yeah, so I was really a fan of horror films since I was a little kid. And so that's really what I really enjoy doing, is making monster movies like Robot Dracula, or It Wants Blood, or It Wants Blood 2 with Weird Al, and it's Coolio's last movie. So, it's always something monster or creature related because that's what I find fascinating.
This is probably irrelevant, but I think it's H.P. Lovecraft was like really terrified of all the creatures and stuff. Have you ever made something like that you've been like really terrified of that you turned a fear into a reality, I guess?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I love the unknown, and I'm totally working on a space dinosaur movie because I have crazy dreams of a lot of creatures, and so I work with an artist named Alaric Barca, and I kind of have like a vision of like what I kind of see, but I'm a sculptor. I'm not a 2D artist, so sometimes it's hard for me to put it on paper, and so yeah, I take things that kind of weird me out or freak me out and turn them into the Batman situation where the thing you fear is now the thing that you are. So
Gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah, face your fears.
How do you come up with your ideas?
Just like I said, I have like a lot of weird dreams and things come to me, and then sometimes I'll see something out in the world, or I'll have an inkling of, oh, look, like I love cryptids, like Sasquatch and the New Jersey Devil. And so I had made a movie called It Wants Blood, uh, about a cryptid. I took an African lore called the Groot Slang, and then I turned it into kind of my own creature. We named it the Nadoto, which is Swahili for nightmare, or at least that's what Google Translate says.
Sorry, I couldn't get this to load. Who is somebody that you would really love to work with?
You, of course. Well, you're gonna star in my next movie, right?
If,
Lovecraft Slayer.
oh
You're
my
gonna be like
goodness.
an interdimensional time jumper that fights Cthulhu-esque creatures.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Uh, to reword, who is someone realistically that you would like to work with?
You know, it's funny. I've worked with so many great celebrities and rock stars and artists. Like, um, I can't think of anybody. LA is such a funny town because you never know who you're gonna bump into. You know, and lately, whenever I bump into somebody, I'm like, "Hey, be in my movie," and they're like, more or less, they're like, yeah, okay." You know, like I just got Rich Summer to do a cameo, and he was on Mad Men. He was like one of the lead actors on Mad Men, and he was on Glow and Summer of '84. And I mean, here's a guy who's doing, you know, major motion pictures. And then I
Yeah.
just showed him a few of the people that's in some of my new movie, Robot Dracula, and he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm in." You know what I mean? He like, oh, would you work with Rich Summer? Like never crossed my mind, but I happened to bump into him and he was like, yeah, okay, I'm in. So I'm open. I'm open to the universe. Whatever whoever comes along, that's the person I want to work with.
So go to where you are, and I can be in a movie. Got it.
Exactly.
So do you just kind of reach out to people to be in your movies, or do you just like
Constantly.
stumble upon them?
Both. So I'm always sending out emails and messages to people that I like. Like Rob Halford, the lead singer of Judas Priest, is in 3 of my movies. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I was filming with the lead singer of Testament, Chuck Billy, and they were on
Oh,
tour.
wow.
And they were
That's
on, Chuck Billy hits me in the face with a pie in my movie Bite School. And so I had like pie remnants on my face, and I was like talking to Judas Priest's manager because I was like, "Hey, I'm in town. You know what I mean? Can we get Rob in this movie?" And she was like, "Oh, you know, Rob's can't do it today, but you know, get back to me." And so it took like 5 years, and then you know what I mean? I got him in 3 movies. So
wow. That
you never know.
is honestly huge. This might be a tricky one. Have any of your negative reviews of any of your films affected you or upset you or anything?
You know, I think it's human nature in the beginning to be upset. When I made my first feature film at 25, Hack Job, reviewers online hated it. And not only did they hate the movie, they like hated me in the reviews for making the movie. They were like, James Balsamo should never pick up a camera again. Like, and I'll tell you the reality of what actually happened. So my first movie at 25 got picked up for distribution on cable TV all over the US and Canada and in stores like Walmart and Best Buy. Now I'm 25. I had started making this movie when I was 19 years old and then finished it at 25. And so, you know, the movie is silly and it's a mess. And I just wanted to show the world that I can make a movie. And so these reviewers, bloodthirsty. I mean, and this was 2011 at the dawn of the internet when people were just discovering they could be mean without any repercussions. They could just say terrible things. And so, yeah, it did hurt, but that did drive me to make a better movie, which is funny because then I made I Spill Your Guts. And then after I made that movie, people were like, oh, yeah, it's pretty good. So, like, I think it was one of those things that instead of running away and crying and being like, "Oh, the internet is mean," it really fueled me to make a better movie. And that's like a film I really, you know, took the reins on and did all the effects work. And I, you know what I mean? I wrote it and directed it and produced it by myself and wanted people to know like I'm making these movies single-handedly. You know what I mean? I'm not using a studio that has multiple millions of dollars, and you know what I mean. I'm competing. My first film Hack Job was pirated and it was put up next to the movie Taken. So here's like a Liam Neeson multi-million-dollar movie, and then a movie that I made in my parents garage from 19 to 25, you know what I mean, on a budget of $50,000 that I like took myself and had my buddy Daniel Eisenbrown, aka Danny Danger, put in like a few grand into this movie. You know what I mean? And like the two of us like made this movie together, and it was being compared to multiple millions of dollars, you know what I mean, of cinema. So like, yeah, of course. You know what I mean? Like if you like make like a Mona Lisa and compare it to a macaroni sculpture on a refrigerator, of course, you know what I mean? Of course there's going to be major differences, you know what I mean? So like cut a guy some slack, but at the same time, you
I
know,
mean,
it
look where you are
helps,
now.
right? And it helped drive me. I mean, I'll tell you this, my last movie that premiered at the Chinese theater 5 days before Avatar 2 played in the same Chinese theater. You know what I mean? And what I put into that movie is still in scale the same, you know what I mean, macaroni sculpture
Yeah,
compared to the Mona Lisa, but I'm in the same theater. You know what I mean? And you know
yeah.
what I mean? I'm doing that. So it's not a major multi-million-dollar studio. It's James Balsamo that's doing that. And so I know that against all the bad reviews that nobody is doing what I'm doing. So I don't, I put on a persona of arrogant and you know what I mean, but it's all tongue in cheek because the reality is I'm putting in the hard work. You know what I mean? I made these 50 movies. All those reviewers that say, "Ah, this is garbage. What have you done lately?"
That's a very good point. Back to the whole funding part. How do you get your funding? Do you have to go to like GoFundMe or Indiegogo or anything like that?
I haven't done anything like that. I've tried an Indiegogo, failed terribly for I Spill Your Guts. I think I made like $7. And then I tried it again for Hollywood
Oh,
Werewolf, which is coming out this month. It stars Andy Dick, and it's got Eric Roberts in it and me, and that's really fun. But no, I I used to just do horror conventions, and I would take all the money I'd make from horror conventions, excuse me, and then put it into my own movies. And then after making, you know, movies for so long, a few people would come up to me and say, "Hey, I want to star in my own movie." And I do that thing where I say, "Hey, you put in half the budget, I'll put in half the budget, and then I'll put it out through my distribution." And I've done that for several films, you know, but more or less it's still me. It's still me, just
yeah.
like, you know, taking whatever money I make from making movies and doing autograph signings and then putting it back in. So, you know. But if somebody's got millions of dollars and wants to make a movie that's listening, go to jamesbalsamo.com and let's make a movie. I'm making them either way. So you want to make a movie? Come on down.
What is your process for directing?
Pointing. That's my favorite thing. You this way, you over here. You know.
You can get you that little pointer, plastic pointer finger.
Oh yeah,
Little,
I should get one of those. That'll make my job easier than it is now. You do this. You know, a lot of the times I'm acting in the scene. So you know, lately I'm a blue alien or I'm wearing a, you know, prosthetic or something, and so I'm directing with like a weird mask on and I'm pointing.
oh my gosh. I could just picture that. You in like a entire like green screen type outfit, just
Yep,
standing on set, just cutting people.
yep. That's how I do it.
Do you think directing a film is the toughest job while making a movie?
No, I don't. I like directing. You know, I like playing. Like filmmaking is playing pretend. It's funny that the business takes itself so seriously when I feel like people forget it's a fantasy. You're creating a fantasy for people, so like it should be fun. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many actors I've worked with where they're like, "Wow, you're such a calm director," and I just think, "Wow, why would you get crazy about something?" You know what I mean? It at the end of the day, it's for somebody to sit down and like go, "Oh, that's fun," or that's like, you know, it cinema is escapism. You know what I mean? It is designed for you to like forget about what's happening. I'm sorry, I have several dogs.
It's okay. My chihuahua is running around somewhere.
So, I don't think directing should be as stressful. I don't think the whole process, you know what I mean? I think people that make movies should be thankful that they get to play pretend. But, the business end of it kind of creates that stress. And then there's like people that are like, oh, we need to appease this demographic, and you're not, the color blue is what's in right now. So we need to like create all these blue, you know what I mean? And it makes people crazy and frustrated. And then they get stressed because, somebody who's sitting in an office somewhere read a statistic that, people need to wear blue. Oh, but then the new report comes in that it needs to be lavender. You know what I mean? So who cares? It's all pretend. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, just have fun with it. I don't think directing's hard. I don't think any of it's really hard. It's fun. It's fun. It should be entertaining. You know what I mean? Of course I get stressed out because there's other factors. You know what I mean? I'm competing against all these other filmmakers, and at the same time of inspiring independent filmmakers, they then become my competition, like Lloyd Kaufman. You know what I mean? Like he's running the longest independent film company, and then he went off and created a mad scientist with me, and now I'm like standing next to him at conventions, and he's like, oh damn, you know what I mean? Like you're taking money out of my pocket because I helped create you, and at the same time I'm like, hey, thanks for doing it for me. And he's all, great, that's great, you know what I mean? You're taking money out of my mouth, like thanks for, you know what I mean, being inspired. Right. So
would you ever like consider working with other independent filmmakers to make like one big movie?
Yeah, I have. I've done, like I said, I've produced other movies and things like that. Like I produced Sid Haig's last movie and Dick Miller's last film. It was directed by Eben Magar. It was called Hanukkah. It was the first Jewish slasher film. And, that was a movie that I did a ton of work on. I ended up becoming the DP halfway through the project, and I did effects for the movie, and I cut part of it, and I produced it and brought locations on, and made props, and I even directed a music video in the movie. You know what I mean? And that's like a film. People are like, "Oh, you worked on that?" So I don't mind. You know what I mean? Evan told me a story. Steven Spielberg, worked on one of the newer Star Wars. Like he directed some stuff in that, but he doesn't take credit for that. So I like having fun. You know what I mean? I like working on movies. So whenever somebody says, "Hey, you want to work on this project?" If I can do it, I'm more than happy to do it.
Who are your filmmaking influencers?
Ooh. I like a lot of Italian cinema. I like Dario Argento. I think The Bird with the Crystal Plumage is like a masterpiece that doesn't get enough credit. Everybody's like, Suspiria, Suspiria. I'm like, yes, Suspiria is amazing. I saw Goblin play the soundtrack to Suspiria live a few months ago, and I was sitting in the same row in the front as William Lustig, the guy that directed Maniac and Maniac Cop. And I got him to do a cameo in one of my movies because he was just there. And I love William Lustig, and I love Lloyd Kaufman, and I love Dennis Dugan, who does a lot of Adam Sandler movies. I think he's like a really funny comedy director that doesn't get a lot of social praise. And of course, I love Lucio Fulci. He did Zombie 2 and a whole bunch of other fun The Beyond. But yeah, I like obscure directors. You know what I mean? I like weird. I like weird stuff, like David Lynch weird. And Alejandro Jodorowsky. I like never can pronounce that guy's name. correctly. Alejandro Jodorowsky, I think that's how you pronounce it, but El Topo and stuff like that. Weird. I like weird movies.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody's got their tastes.
Yeah.
Teach their own. Do you have any advice for any young filmmakers?
I do, yeah. Pick up a camera, go make a movie. People say, "Oh, I don't have the budget." You don't need the budget. You have a dream and a cell phone, you can make a movie. Like you don't even need a big camera or lights or anything. You could make a movie with yourself. You don't have friends. I used to do that. I used
You
to
play
take
all
a
characters.
I did, yeah. And I love seeing that on YouTube with kids, and what I mean, TikTok, they just flip the
Yeah.
camera around or they put a hat on, and then you get the point across, right? You have the concept, and that's all you need. You know what I mean? You have a concept and yourself, you could do it. You have friends, even better. You know what I mean? You have a little bit of money for some fun costumes or a monster. You want to make a toilet paper and latex monster, you could do it. That's how I started. I just do it.
Are we gonna see a little film you made back when you first started, like the very very first attempt?
Yeah, so I actually released those. I did a movie called Mind Melters, which had my first 30 short films on it. I made before I made my first feature film. And I just released Mind Melters 10. That's out now in FYE. So in the last 3 years, I've made 10 of those Mind Melters, and they have all sorts of shorts and music videos that I've done before I started making movies. And then I even made some new shorts so I can make Mind Melters because they're so fun to make.
What is your? I think we did this one already. What is your favorite film of yours? We did that. Um, do you think being an independent filmmaker is better than being a mainstream filmmaker?
I don't know because I've never made a mainstream multi-million dollar movie. I could tell you what it's like from the bottom. And now I'm making movies for hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? Which is still nothing in the grand scheme of it. I was having drinks with Woody Harrelson's brother the other day, Brett Harrelson, and I was just showing him who's in Robot Dracula, and he was like, that is unbelievable. He's like, I don't understand how you got all of these people in your movie, James. Like, you know, like with like the budget that you're working with. You know what I mean? And here's Woody Harrelson's brother, somebody that really understands the business, and he is in awe of all the people that I'm getting, by myself, without a major studio, without throwing millions of dollars at these people. Me just being excited about making movies is really how I got a lot of these people in it. So you never know. I don't know what it's like to make a movie with millions of dollars and then have to negotiate back and forth and, hey, Robert De Niro, do you want to do a cameo and I'll give you $5 million for the day? And then his manager's like, no, it's got to be $7 million. And then I'm like, can you do it for 6.5? And then he shows up and he's got like an entourage, and I have, oh, you can't look him in the eyes when you talk to him, or I don't know what it's like to work with him because I haven't, but you hear stories in Hollywood of what it's like working with these people, and then you never know. So I don't know what it's like to make a multi-million dollar movie, but I could tell you what it's like making an indie movie. It's a lot of work, but it's fun.
As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters.
I put the fun in funeral.
Oh my god, that is the worst analogy to use. This might be a very controversial question. This is not my question, just so we are clear. How do you get so many women to get naked in your films?
I hire them from a website called Model Mayhem, and it's always a very professional set. I always have another woman on set to make sure that they're safe and comfortable. And before I hire them, I tell them what the scene is and what they're going to have to do, and I tell them what you know, the arranged price is for them to do the scene, and they're comfortable with it. And I work with a lot of adult actresses that are relieved that all they have to do is get eaten by a rubber monster. You know what I mean? And that's, like I said, I like working with people that are comfortable. I never hire anybody that's shy or I don't really feel comfortable. It's like I want you to be comfortable because that's what I need in the scene. I want you to have fun, and you know what I mean. I want it to be fun for the people watching it, and it's that is probably the most business element of the way that I do things and try to be above board with everybody and make sure everybody's comfortable and only the people that need to be on set are there. And so there's not a lot of looky loos. And
Well, that's great. Next question. Is there, without saying names, is there anyone that you have worked with that you would not work with again? I don't want to name call anybody.
no, I've honestly I've been lucky. There's nobody that's had like a major temper tantrum or anything like really where I was like, oh, I'm never working with that person again. So yeah, no, all are welcome back. Welcome back.
Well, to I guess to add on to that, what is the worst story you have of making a film?
Ooh, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any horror stories. You know what I mean? I make silly movies where everybody is more or less having fun. I can't think of any film where people are tortured or were like hard to work with. Um, I never really had any mental breakdowns or temper tantrums where I body slammed anybody through a table or did anything crazy like that. So
That is so me as a would be so me as a filmmaker. You okay?
yeah, my PR team is telling me about fursuit in the summer on Alien Danger. Yeah, I was wearing it. Ken, yeah, Ken May, who played an ant eater, like a giant Chewbacca-esque ant eater character in my film's Alien Danger, was just very hot in a fursuit while we were filming in the summer in California. But it's not really a horror story. It's just kind of sweaty.
Um, if you could remake any film, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. There's so many. Oh man, I want to talk about this publicly, but I can't yet because maybe I'll tell you off camera. I like a lot of B horror movies, and there was a point where I had almost done a sequel to Street Trash, and I was talking to Roy Frumpke, and he sent me the script, and we were talking about it. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but he wrote it as Street Trash 3 because he had said so much time has passed, there should have already been a 2. So he was jumping from 1 to 3, and that was something I was going to direct, and I was excited about it, but it didn't happen. So I you know I think remakes are interesting. They get a lot of hate, and when they come out, people don't like them. That's why I like making original content. But John Carpenter's The Thing is a remake, and they made that movie totally into their own thing. It's nothing like the original. The original has like a Frankenstein's monster-esque space alien kind of looking creature, and it's just one creature. It's not like multiple malformed human deformity alien creatures. So that's a remake. You know what I mean? And at the time, it also was hated. And the story, legend has it, John Carpenter lost a movie because of it doing so poorly. You know what I mean? And I know he doesn't really look super fondly on it. When I met him and told him I love that movie, he was like, mm.
I bet you met at this point.
So,
At least you're like really well known.
yeah. Well, it's funny. LA is actually a really small town. It's really small, and I've been doing horror conventions with horror celebrities for almost 10 years, And so it's nice, you know what I mean? When they have the pamphlet and they have my photo in it, I'm like, well, here's you. And then flip the page, that's me. So we're in the same book, William Shatner.
Oh my god. Um, there are a lot of fans that don't know about you. Is there any family that don't know what you do?
No, all my family knows what, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, James makes interesting movies, you know? So,
Let's talk about Bite School. Probably your best film.
oh,
How was it working with the godfather of gore himself, Mr. Herschel Gordon Lewis?
honestly, it was incredible. We had done a horror convention together and we were on a panel about independent filmmaking, which was insane at the time. And I had gotten Herschel to sing, his Maniacs song on the panel. And then after I said, I'm making a new movie, I'd love for you to be in it. And he said, yeah, I'd love to. And I was just in awe. He had some really great stories and he didn't want money. All he wanted was a chocolate milk. And
Oh my god.
I there was a Starbucks in the convention center that we were in, and I was like, "Can you guys make a chocolate milk?" And they're all, "Yeah, hold on, we'll think of something." And I got him the chocolate milk, and he said, "Thank you, you're a very sweet man." And that's my Herschel Gordon Lewis story. And he played my grandfather in Vice School, and I really loved his work. You know what I mean? I still do. I love Blood Feast and Color Me Blood Red. Those are my favorite Herschel Gordon Lewis movies. And I mean, the man really paved the way for gore in cinema. And I hope in the long run he gets his credit because he had it to the people that understood. But I mean, it should be more well known that Herschel Gordon Lewis really did pave that way for horror and gore cinema. And he was such a sweet, genuine man that like understood the business, and he was just a wonderful guy.
I mean, he asked you for a chocolate milk, so
That's all he wanted, chocolate milk.
that film is such a fun watch. Is there anything that you would do differently?
Uh, well, I I did want to do some stuff differently. That's why I made a sequel from Dusk Till Dawn. And Robot Dracula is actually the third movie in the trilogy. So it's kind of like Desperado and Once Upon a Time. Thank you.
Gosh.
Thank you. Once Upon a Time in Mexico, where the titles aren't the same, but they're all kind of linked together. Like I play Tony Canoni in all three of those movies, and it's kind of Tony's story. So, Robot Dracula will. Can I ask you a question? What's your favorite part of Bite School?
Don't hate me. These are not my questions.
That's that's
I'm so sorry.
that's okay. I don't hate you. Um, but yeah, so I really wanted to do more stuff with the giant bat monster. I had sculpted these heads, and then I worked with these other effects artists, Steve Siegelbaum and Church Haley, who made the bat monster body. And so it was a two-headed bat with breasts and bat wings and a snake-like body, and it was a 10-foot practical creature, and we hung it from a 30-foot crane, and then I fought it with a toilet plunger sharpened into a stake. So, it was fun.
We actually have the poster for Bite School hanging up
Very, very cool.
right in the middle of the house. So you see
Amazing.
it. Big fans. We're big fans.
Awesome.
You cast a lot of music stars and wrestlers in your films. Are you close to any of them?
No, I love wrestling, and I love live music and go to shows. And so, yeah, I work with a lot of rock stars, and I kind of work with the people that I like. I love entertainment, and so I try to put in, the movies people that I found entertaining. And so, We just filmed with Mr. Bungle, the lead singer of Faith No More, Mike Patton's other band. And so three of those guys are in Robot Dracula. And so it's always we're always filming with somebody cool. And Mick Foley's in Robot Dracula. So
Um, when will we see an autobiography of James Balsamo? Many of us would love to read that.
oh yeah, that's cool. I don't know. I think I'm still kind of out living the story. It's hard to, you know,
If you start it now, we can get like a big book when you're done.
yeah, it's true. And get the big book. I've thought about it several times because I wrote two kids joke books and I like writing. I don't like sitting down and writing. I like the thought of writing, but it's something I plan on doing sooner than later.
We'll work on a biography. Don't worry.
Cool.
um, that was the good questions. Where were you born?
Queens, New York. I'm from Queens.
Wow. I guess this answers my next question. Are you Italian? Because you've mentioned a lot of loving Italian directors and movies, and
I am, yeah, James Balsamo. I am Italian. I love chicken parm and spaghetti and meatballs.
are you one of those who consider pizza Italian?
No, uh, no, I think pasta also comes from China or something like that. I think noodles come from over there.
Oh my gosh. Um, Personally, what are your favorite movies and why?
Well, I was very excited to see my buddy Matt Desiderio is doing a screening of Abomination, which is a really obscure horror movie, and that's playing in New York next month, I think June 13th. So if you guys are in New York and you haven't seen Abomination, I love that movie. Check it out. It's super wacky, fun monster movie. Um, Street Trash, I love, and Chud, Return of the Living Dead. I just filmed with Linnea Quigley a few weeks ago. She's in Robot Dracula. So, what
You're
about you? What are your favorite movies?
oh, I would get judged so hard if I answered that.
No, no judgment here.
Well, growing up, like way younger, my favorite movie was the Twilight series. And I know
Okay.
it's really contradicting because like those are really, really weird movies. And it's kind of a ritual now. I watch them every year. Kind of depressing. But I would probably have to say Mortal Instrument, City of Bones.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen either one of those. I'll check.
Or Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko was way up there.
Cool. I've had Frank the Bunny in one of my movies. James
I
Frank.
want
I mean,
I want
James Jimmy Duvall.
you you amaze me.
Thank you.
Um
You amaze
uh,
me.
oh, thanks. Filmmaking is a laborious job, so what keeps you motivated?
Um, I I do it for me. You know what I mean. Like I said, I make the movies that I want to see. I love movies. I'm a movie guy. I love the ridiculous scenarios, and I love the oh my god moment. Like that's what makes me like want to make movies. Like creating moments for that when you're watching a movie and somebody's head comes off because they throw a shovel or something like that. And you're like, what? That's ridiculous. That's why I make movies.
You were somebody who watched way too many America's Funniest Videos. People, weren't
Oh
you?
yeah, I love the jackalope. I want to make a monster jackalope movie
Oh Lord. Um.
with Dave
How,
Coulier.
oh, I
That's
get.
the
I think.
fast caboodle, never catch me.
Wow. All right. I think we kind of answered this earlier on, but uh, how do you choose your cast?
Like I said, I like to work with people that I enjoy working with, or if I bump into a celebrity on the street, then I immediately try to put them in one of my movies.
I'm just gonna start like walking the streets of where you are and just
Yeah, you're hired.
how do you handle a actor when they are not being professional?
I like to take them aside, or if I get everything that I need from them, I just cut them early. But more or less, that's never really happened. So I'm thankful for that. But in any kind of problematic situation, instead of escalating it, I always try to take them aside and talk to them one on one and say, hey, well, talk to them as a person. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people forget an element of humanity when talking to each other. They just kind of meet anger with anger, and you know what I mean? They don't try to find out the source of what the real problem is and just say, hey, well, what's going on here? Why are you upset? Are you hungry? Are you
Yeah.
sleepy? What's wrong? So
Um. Oh my gosh, I cannot read. What are the toughest aspects of making a film today?
like I said, for me, I don't find any of it tough because I've been doing it for so long. I think everything has its challenges on how to do it, but I think if you set your intention to do it, anything's possible, especially now with miniatures and green screen. I don't really like doing a lot of digital effects. I like doing everything in camera if I can and doing it practical. So I think if you think of a monster and you build the monster, you know what I mean? You can do it. But sometimes with puppets and animatronics, things happen. So you just have to kind of be able to go with the flow, I think. And you, you never make the movie you set out to make. You in filmmaking, you kind of always have to like go. You have to kind of be water. You have to go with the flow of the problem. You know what I mean? Like if this isn't working, or the actor is just kind of not giving you the performance that you want, you just have to figure it out. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you are only making entertainment. You know what I mean? It is something somebody's going to sit and watch, and it's going to be 90 minutes, and that's it. For them, you know what I mean? Whether you had the person raise their right arm or the left arm in the script, it doesn't matter to them. They don't care. You know what I mean? Nobody's going, ah, man, that 90-minute movie was great, but if she would have lifted her left arm, it would have been an Academy Award winner for me. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter.
Oh gosh. Which actor, in your opinion, is the all-time best actor?
It's me. Let's say me. I'm brilliant.
Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you.
I just knew you were gonna say something like that. Um, Again, in your opinion, what do you think the audience is would likes to watch these days?
Well, I'm sorry. Would they like to what?
Watch like movie wise, what would they like to watch these days? Like genre, I guess.
Um, you know, audience is funny and the industry is funny. Like somebody was telling me about the American film market, which is like a big sales show for movies. So one year, if the big movie is a dragon movie, everybody goes out and they make a dragon movie. And so then the next American film market, there's like 100 dragon movies. But it turns out that people really want a ventriloquist dummy movie because of Annabelle or something like that. And then you make Anna Smell about a smelly doll that kills with its smell, and then people are like, "Oh, I don't want that. I don't want that at all." So you never know. I think you just have to make the project that speaks to you, and then it'll find its audience.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Do you find it hard to direct and act at the same time?
Uh, it depends. I think I find it challenging, like I said, when I have like an elaborate costume on, and then the costume's kind of like irritating because I have like makeup in my eyes and I'm blind in one eye, and then I'm like, okay, you go over here, and you know what I mean. I think that's challenging, but still fun. You know what I mean? I'm still in a costume, and it's not like I'm working underground in a 40-foot mine. And you know what I mean? Like,
It's movie idea.
yeah, exactly. And, you know, like gremlins are gnawing at my ankles. I'm making a movie. So yeah, none of it is really uh terrible. It's all fun.
Well, that concludes all of our questions. Is there anything extra you would like to say to your fans?
I would thank you for listening and give it up. It's your first interview ever. What an honor to be. Yay. What an honor to be interviewed by you. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Acid Bath Product, and go to jamesbalsamo.com to get all your cool movies, t-shirts, and books. And you know, add me on Facebook. I want to be your friend. Go add me. And then check out wonderful more interviews to come. That's it. You broke the ceiling on this one. Sky's the limit now. You're interviewing Brad Pitt next.
Oh gosh. I don't know. I don't think that one would go as well. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this with me. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
It was fun.
Well, yeah, that concludes this.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.